You want me to fucking clap? Because you oaks are not synced, man. Eh? Suppose I'm allowed to have a smoke while I'm chatting, eh? Okay, so it's au natural. Fucking eh. Where are my fucking durries? Where are my durries? No, I'm here, dear chum. So you've even got snackies here for me. More bollickies and all the rest. Okay. Who am I? Warwick Beaumont. Currently 55 years old, I think. Yeah, 55. In the Heartfelt Valley, Hordale Enterprises, farming chickens. And we're looking at a reflection on how did I get here? So let's roll it back a wee bit. We've got a family that was founders in the apple industry in the Crabo area. So roll it back to dad, mom and dad at Valley Green, growing up that side, which then put me on this path of farming. Fortunately, because yes, there were farms involved. Dad, youngest of three siblings, most definitely a pioneer and a risk taker of note in that industry with Two A Day. So Grandpa was actually involved in the founder membership of starting Two A Day, the apple producing guys. Roger made his claim to fame by taking a massive risk with I think it was seven odd hectares of Granny Smith trees that were already, I think they were 5 years old. So just coming into bearing, and grafted the whole lot over to the then unknown Royal Gala, which is now obviously a staple fodder in anybody's menu regarding apples or bicolors. Where Dad, I mean, he, against the rest of the industry, the guys at Two A Day said, no, you can't do that. Well, he did it, and grafted over a whole bunch of hectares, which had already been put money into. And that was a kicker that got the rest of the path going, because supply and demand, very limited supply, high demand for this new variety, and the returns in those years were exceptional, which put him on a path to put Valley Green, the farm itself, as one of the best farms within Two A Day, and that was probably mid-80s. I would have been then finishing up high school career in Crabo. No, not in Crabo, I was in Cape Town. So high school career when that was going on is good apple returns. There was then another risk where Dad went down into the citrus industry in Swellendam. So there were these easy peelers that were the new flavor of the block, unknown. And a couple of farms were purchased out that way, which I ended up being in for, what is it? I think it was close to 16 years of my farming life. The makeup that we had with mom and dad as the sort of center Karen, and myself and my brother, younger brother, was obviously to look and say, okay, right, between the apple farm and the citrus farms, where would this wealth be generated to then, look where one's going to be going for the futures. A life lesson from Dad, if I go back to that, was when I was requested after a family meeting that was going to be taking place down at Strasbourg. And Dad actually phoned me and said, listen, you might have to pack some extra stuff for the weekend, because you might have to go and help out at Sovereign. That was the core farm that started the developments on. Well, I packed my clobber and had the weekend at the farm, and then I was there for 16 years. There was a bit of a management shake-up with the top company, which then had me basically take over the second development stage, which was Olivedale Citrus. And the instruction that Dad gave me from the beginning there with this operation was, my boy, you can do anything you want to here, anything. But let me come from Crabo, because we were still at the apple farm in Crabo. Let me come from Crabo and find that you have purchased a packet of nails from a co-op and there are still nails in the fence posts on this property, you will be fired. Now that, it does sound a bit vreed, but I think that's probably one of the best bloody lessons that he ever gave me. That was one. The other was actually at Valley Green, where the core there was, rainy days, we'd like to keep the staff busy and active. So in my very youthful career as a farm manager down there, it was a rainy day. I got the staff to get stuck into the workshop area and we were tidying like the fury. And we had probably about 3 bulk bins, the apple bins, of junk, shite, that was ready to go to the greenhouse, which was our storage space. And Dad arrived there and requested, well, what on earth you think you're doing, my boy? You do not know the wealth that you have there in those boxes. So every single piece that you've removed from those shelves goes back into the exact same space. Because one day you are going to be looking for a 7/16 3/4 pitch nut or bolt, and it will be in that rack. So keep the stuff there. So the lesson there is most definitely that one uses what you have. And in the farming career, you are not blessed with the ability to wait for things. Inevitably something's going to break at the most inopportune time, whether there's money or not, because the one side is that lesson of the money, and that I had to manage because there wasn't bucks to go and buy that packet of nails. Rather go to the fence post and pull a nail out and reuse it. So that set me in the path of understanding the benefit of utilizing what you have at hand. It probably makes me who I am today, because one does have to think on the fly, and you have to have a reaction process that is immediate. You can't sit and wait and look at Google and say, oh, well, I can source this from here or whatever, because something's going to require your immediate attention to fix it right now. The money side of things, yes, it was beneficial because there wasn't money. I had to then teach myself to repair things on farm. And the local suppliers up in Swellendam, there was one specific guy, Keith Cross, with the, auto electrical. He initially was peeved off with me because I would arrive there with a starter motor or something that needed his specific pieces that would go in to fix the starter of the tractor or whatever. And say, Keith, I'm looking for this, just that piece. I said, but why didn't you phone me? No, because then you're going to come to the farm, you're going to get a call out to come to the farm. It's going to take you 30 minutes to do what's going to take me 5 minutes to do, and you're going to send me a bill for $5,000, where I actually only need the piece there that's only $120. So just give me the bloody piece. And off we'd go and get the tractor rolling again. So a couple of lessons there from Dad, most definitely, on understanding what you have in your environment and making the best of it. That definitely is something which it's an asset within me at the moment. If I look at the involvement now at this farm, at Cordell, there was a pile of stuff which apparently was broken, but after a year down the road, we haven't purchased anything. We've been repurposing leftover pieces of their 20 years of chicken industry and making things work without having to buy something, because at the end of the day, that's going to affect the bottom line. Dad himself, within this risk-taking environment, there were a couple of things that were taught: is you work hard, you play harder. And how hell did we play? Pretty young family. Mom and Dad had us as kids. I had an older brother that they lost. Mom was 18, I think, 18 in hospital. Dad was 21 when they had Pierre. Pierre died of a cot death. So a massive event for the both of them as very young people to have to deal with. My personal opinion on that one was that Mom, that scarring that happened was the cancer that later took her early. So we lost Mom relatively early. Her dying wish with myself in hospital, which is right next to the Boort where we're staying now, was, Warwick, I want you to look after Dad. Which, yeah, I had to do after her passing. Also an enlightening event, which I'll get into now. But with Mom and Dad being such young people, and Gareth and myself, we were more brothers and sisters than moms and dads. So the playing factor was, we had fun. Holiday houses at beach houses at Pringle Bay and Plet and Struis and all over the show. An open door policy with friends and of their friends, which were then, we were sort of sandwiched because they might have been a little bit older than some of their friends, but we were youngsters, and when one could party on, we partied properly. This puts us in a space of most definite alcohol abuse, because there was bucket loads of the stuff. And that's where the looking after Dad after Mom died, I mean, his wheels came off. I had to put him into rehab, into stepping stones, and pushed me into a place of reflection for myself, because the first event was to go in solidarity with him in stopping drinking. And drinking and alcohol, definitely with Tina and the girls, it was a big player. It was all the stuff of, well, I'm involved with the farm, or I'm involved with the chicken industry, and it was an excuse to have a drink and then obviously have too much. So yeah, Dad's initial chapter was roughly 5 years of being dry. I can now say that I've been dry longer than him. The reflection there regarding alcohol was with Dad in his last little pieces, when sitting there, and he jokingly looked down. I think Barry was actually with us. He looked at his leg, which was seriously in not good shape. I mean, it had gangrene and etc. And he said, "You know, at Warwick, I thought I'd have a far more fucking glorious death than my port taking me." But the pain that he had to endure covered or took off some scabs, which we could really get into. So there were a couple of things in that very painful chapter of closure to his life, where we shared a few things, and it was one of them that's paramount. And Dad said to me, "You know what, my boy, if I didn't lose everything, I would have lost everything." And I had to sit a little bit and think about it, and then the penny dropped, because the loss there of the finances and the farms and the holiday houses, etc., would have been nothing compared to the loss of love from the family. Still gets me. That still gets me. He's a great dad, great friend, actually. Miss him, fuck. So what did he teach me? He taught me that we're human, man. We're all allowed to make mistakes. And if you at least make a mistake and learn from it, that's a good mistake. Don't continue with the mistake. In myself, I can say, okay, right, with regards to the alcohol side of things, I said to Dad, you know what, if I think back, there were very few events with family on holiday, etc., where there wasn't an excessive amount of alcohol that was being used. And for my life, going into with Tina and the girls, is I didn't want to have that loss of time, because time is so precious. So when you're involved in the party, it's very busy to have all the people around, and it's lots and lots of fun, but eventually, in reflection, there was so much time lost, which we could have utilized so much better in just being quiet and gentle with each other, and just enjoying the space. That is where I find myself now within this environment here. I've been afforded this space to sit quietly and reflect on a life lived with Mom and Dad, my life to itself. What have I done? Where have I been? There's untold stories of chapters of adventure and failures and all the rest of it. But I think inherently, if one looks and says, well, how did I get here? It's a walk in your life of experience, fall downs, financial losses, heart losses, and the ability to thereafter jump out of it and say, but hang on, I'm still here. And there's only one thing that really makes that world go round, and that is the love. The love that you have for others, yes, but ultimately the love for yourself. That's something that I think is pretty important. Maybe some of the planet now is actually missing the plot because it is so fast. The wealth, the social tappy on all of these things. To a certain degree, COVID brought people into a quieter space where they reflected and said, well, hang on, who are you? The person that's either side there, because you had to be at home. So your wife or your child or your brother that you hadn't seen for a while, you've got to engage. Yeah, a couple of mad things there, man. The working with the land idea, to tell everyone honestly, it's not for sissies. There's an old story with, if you get into farming, how do you make $1 million? Well, you bring 3. So in my career, I've never owned a farm, never. I had the ability to manage 2 of Dad's operations. So at Valley Green, I was there. That was where I thought I'd end up, but the citrus chapter and the Swellendam thing had a little bit more of a lure for me as the eldest, because Gareth was still in Cape Town doing his tech. So the potential of having Valley Green, Gareth, Mom and Dad down there, and then the Sovereign, which was a partnership entity, and Olivedale, which is 120 hectares of citrus, with the other 160 hectare unit at top, with me overseeing the citrus side of things, top dog within apple. I mean, it was all set up bloody perfectly. But shit happens. So being pioneers in an industry is always comes with a bit of risk, and we bore the brunt of that. I mean, for many years, the lure and the adventure of planting 120 hectares farm, which was a blank canvas to go for it, great. But somewhere along the line, you've got to plow that money back. And perspective there was, I had to make $1 million to pay the interest before paying for a single nail at the co-op. So the nail lesson was actually really important. Managed to, for 16 years, keep it rolling with multiple experiences in market developments in the UK with our then partners Eurydice, with this new merging market, to actually make enough money to keep the thing floated. But it was interest rate hikes at that stage, so the money that was borrowed went through the ceiling, and eventually the bank wanted it back, so there we go, came back. The lesson there is, yes, the light might be good, but it takes a lot of graft to do what the farming allure is. And hopefully the world will understand that without farmers there ain't food. And it's apparently a lifestyle thing, but it's a lifestyle that you've got to work your butt off to put now those chickens or those apples or whatever it is on the shelf that somebody can eat it. Yeah, it's an adventure of note, that's for sure. But it takes a lot of graft. Something that I've learned from that one is actually picked up from Dad's management, or managers that were involved through the various entities. And I was younger than all of these guys, and they had kids. And it struck me as quite unique then that Thijs, Philip, Hannes, Vince Jordan, all of the guys' kids in various schools, which weren't in Krabo, it was all over the place, attained top positions within their schooling careers. Vice prefects, head of hostels, head of the top echelons of whatever school environment they were in. And I only figured it out a little bit later, in my own life with then my young kids who were coming through, that there was parity between the work ethic of the fathers and mothers that reflected into the kids. It had to be that, because you couldn't have such a random selection of folk that would have all of those kids attaining top positions, because the parents worked their butts off in that farming environment. If I look at my two girls, very unique in their own little entities. Alexia works her arse off in a challenging period that's been post-COVID and getting into varsity now, to get her head stuck into the books. And hopefully there's a reflection there that mom and dad try their damnedest with what they've got to do to put that roof over the head, and therefore instill an ethic of responsibility and purpose and dedication to get the job done. No matter what you've got to do, you've got to knuckle in and do it. Nothing comes for free. So I hope that the kids, Alexia, Bells, I'll get into you now because you're a unique all by yourself. I have picked up that drive of, no matter if it's raining or the storms come through and the bridge is washed away, the job has to go on. Dad will get there. I mean, Alexia actually, with Marcus, I had to go through and help them with his little flat. And she said, Dad, please, we need Daddy fix it here, because you can fix anything. And it was just putting up a couple of pickies and things, but I like that little note, Daddy fix it. That's the same one that I think her first words that came out when she was, they were her first words, as I wasn't Dad or Daddy, I was do pumps. I was Daddy do pumps, because that stage, Trillendam, Tina would be looking after during the day, and I'd come back and I'd take Alexia and the bakkie to go and do pumps. So she picked up, I was going to say to teens, listen, I'm going to go do pumps, and take a little rat bag out there in the bakkie, bounce, shake, okay. Ali falls asleep, so I can hand a very sleepy, fast asleep child back home, and then have some dinner with Tina, and off we go. So Daddy do pumps was stuck there, man. Awesome. Isabella, very unique in her own little drive, different personality, and blessed with two beautiful souls. But they only are souls for such a short time. So while that time is there, let them be themselves. Let them go and have their experiences. Because you're there just to hold them with very soft hands until they can go into the world themselves. I'm very proud of both my girls and my wife, actually. Yeah. You're gonna get fucking emotional again. Well, that's why we do what we do, because you've got to show that you've got a bit of a heart. Yeah, I'll probably go back into the alcohol delve with what lessons that's given. And it maybe is the exposure of yourself, the accepting that you are only human. You don't have to cover it with a brandy and coke or another party of people that are absolutely nonsensical in caring for you. They're only there to care for that you might be able to buy the next round or behave like a bloody hooligan. Hubba, rah, until the shit hits the proverbial fan, and then there's nobody there to support. So, yeah, break all those teachings actually of what society or your parents' upbringing, because there was definitely something that I looked at there with a friend of mine and a couple of mates, that actually there wasn't another choice. We were destined for that road of a fuck up. Because the parents also didn't understand maybe the impact of the parties that in their era were going, the kids of the 60s, flower child, free this, free that. I think at the moment the world is maybe a bit of a better place, because booze is expensive. It's socially still acceptable, weddings, we're going to have a toot. Funerals, we will have a little whiskey on John. There goes John. They'll have a lovely wake. Even the Sunday movie that comes on Mnet is sponsored by Jamison. So I looked at those and I think, well, hang on, who's got it miss? So you've got to grow up and get the balls to say, but hang on, I'm me and I make this choice. I will be the one that decides and not be dictated to by the social medias or the magazines or the rest. Because one's individuality is just that. Embrace yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Because there's nobody better than you, or like both my girls know, and teens. Dr. Zeus coined it. There's nobody youer than you. So just be you. That's it.